day, fellow Jersey nerds, and welcome to episode 78 of the Jersey Nerds podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your host, Ryan, and today on the Nerdcast, I'm going to be joined by Shawn, Steve, and Bpoe, and we're going to be looking at the best-looking second-round playoff series of the 2019 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. As I mentioned, joining us this week, Shawn, Steve, and Bpoe. Shawn, what's going on?
Well, I have an interesting story for you, and it's called How I Got Avengers Endgame Spoiled for Me on the First Night.
Oh.
Not that it really matters. I'm not. Here's the thing about spoilers. I'd rather find out and see if they do it well because, nothing in it really surprised me. So, I'm just going to actually see it on Wednesday.
Did someone just stand right in front of you and yell out the whole plot line? Wouldn't that give you enough time to run away?
No. See, the internet's an interesting thing in that you can click on something and all of a sudden you know how the movie ends.
Was it a
And
link?
then my own curiosity got a hold of me and I just looked it up at that point and I said, well, let's just rip this Band-Aid off right now. Also, I'm wearing a lovely jersey with a lovely story. I bought this jersey in 2010 with paper route money. That's how old this is.
What are you wearing tonight?
I am wearing a 2009-10 Colorado Avalanche alternate, the blue alternate with the pit stains and the interesting, pretty well-liked striping pattern. I love this jersey personally. I thought it was one of the best-looking jerseys in the NHL when it was first introduced. It was one of the first to actually use a hanger effect on the back of the collar. Overall, I think that, it's criminally underrated. Get why people don't like it, but the fact that it was the first Avs jersey to use this shade of blue, which I think is gorgeous. And on top of that, it was probably the last Avs jersey that looked good with that 90s style font.
That first Reebok Edge blue alternate for Colorado was one of my favorite jerseys. So that you're right, that is an underrated jersey, but not a lot of people like it. Also joining us this week is Steve. What's going on, Steve?
Not much. How about you, Ryan?
Oh, having a great time. Sitting around the round table, getting ready to talk jerseys and playoffs with you guys. Looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. I'm enjoying the Carolina Hurricanes seeking their revenge.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, as we record, they're up on the Islanders. The Islanders are in quite a bit of trouble. I mean, when you lose at home, that's trouble. And when you lose 2 in a row, that's even more trouble. So
this isn't funny anymore. Like, someone needs to turn off their damn Xbox, like whoever's running the simulation here, stop it. You're best with things beyond your power.
It's like when you go through your season and go 82-0, and then all of a sudden you get to the second round of the playoffs and you can't beat this one team and you've crushed every other team all season. But yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting. So we'll dive into that coming up. Also joining us, Bpoe. Bpoe, what's going on?
Just recording a podcast, Ryan, in a Minnesota Wild jersey, so I don't curse anybody tonight. How about you?
I'm having a good time. What made you buy? I know you've probably had it for a while. What made you buy the Minnesota Wild Adidas home jersey?
I literally just purchased or got it in the mail today, so you're completely wrong on having it for a while. But this thing is just absolutely gorgeous, and I've wanted it from the moment that I saw it.
Agreed, and you're also fired for making a fool of me, so see you later.
What's that, the 8th time he's been fired?
I fire people so randomly, I've lost track. So by the next time we record, he'll be welcome back. It's fine. I'll forget. But anybody get up to, any other than Shawn getting Endgame spoiled for him, anybody else get up to anything interesting this weekend or this past week?
Well, I had an interesting Wednesday, but first let me explain my whole curse because I think that's kind of funny enough. It has to do with jerseys. So I know I'm going to preface this by saying that I know I affect absolutely nothing being some random guy in a suburb of Pittsburgh. But it's still a very funny coincidence. So first of all, it started whenever I wore my Vegas and Toronto gear on the days of their Game 7. They both lost. At that point, I'm like, geez, maybe I'm a curse. So the next day I went completely neutral, but I brought my Capitals jersey with me in the car. I was in class for the first period, watched the game in class. It was 2-0 Caps after the first. Put on my Caps jersey, Canes come back to win. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is actually real. Then I remembered I wore Penn's jersey every day they played during the playoffs. They got swept. Let's see. What else did I do? Right. For game 1 against Boston and Columbus, I wore my Blue Jackets jersey, hoping that it would break the curse. It did not. Blue Jackets lost. Then, for game 2, once the second overtime between Boston and Columbus started, I put on my Boston jersey. Columbus wins. Then, on Sunday, I wore my Islanders hat to work. I can't wear it during work, but I wore it to work and during my lunch break. And the Islanders go up 1-0 after the first. I watched that during my lunch break, and I'm like, damn, maybe it's not working. After work, I check to see what happened. Canes came back and won. I had to keep myself from jumping up and down because I was not in the back room.
So from the 8 teams that are remaining, is Carolina the only team you don't have some merch for?
Technically, I now do have some merch for them. I just today got in the mail the Whalers throwback. It's not truly Carolina, but it is at the same time.
So I guess
I'm not wearing that one Wednesday. I wore it today because I literally got it right as I was leaving, and I'm not wearing it again until Thursday now.
I guess you can dictate who wins the Stanley Cup this year.
Apparently, and I guess it's going to be San Jose because they're one of the teams that I don't have a jersey for yet.
There you go, folks. Put money on San Jose. Bpoe doesn't have a jersey to curse them.
Oh, I don't have an Islanders. Well, I do, but I don't. I have an Islanders jersey, but it's a little small on me, so I could wear it. Wouldn't look good. I'd have to wear it at home probably.
If you want them to lose, you just squeeze into it and be like...
Well, I got the Islanders hat now that I think about it, and that already worked out. So
there you go. You can curse everybody except for San Jose. So this past week in my house has been interesting to say the least because I got a couple dogs, both female dogs, which is fine. It's whatever. So one of them is 1.5 years old, and the other is just 10 months old. And the 10-month-old dog is, as you would expect, just a puppy hopping around, having a good time. The other one that's 1.5 years old, getting closer to 2 years old, it's springtime. And she seems to have a spring in her step. But seeing as there's no other dog to reciprocate the feeling, she climbs aboard the back of her stepsister, I guess, and just goes to town and does what nature dictates and totally humps the shit out of that little dog.
It's all about power.
It's apparently
nothing personal. It's all about maintaining stature.
According to the internet, it's either all about power or she's just getting her jollies off. So, and there's a lot of humping going on. So either it's a giant power struggle or she's just got a lot of pent up frustration. But my son said she looks like an old lady with a cane who's trying to walk fast, which was hilarious. She just climbs.
Oh, bless your son's heart.
She just climbs aboard there and goes. I mean, and the black dog, the younger dog, she used to just kind of like sit down to try and fight it, but now I think she's done fighting it. She kind of just lets it go and doesn't really try that hard to walk away. And we just sit there going, no, come on, get off. Well, not that way. Just get off the dog. Get off the dog. So it's just been a constant funhouse of dog humping going on over the past week. And
you think that's fun? Wait till you hear about my dog.
What'd your dog do, Steve?
So I woke up Friday morning and I was looking for my glasses, and I'm blind as a bat without my glasses. And right now I'm wearing glasses that are old and don't have a proper prescription because my dog chewed my glasses. He somehow got a hold of them. I don't know how. But it's like I don't put them where he can easily reach them. So someone had to have knocked him down, either me or my wife, and I don't know who. But I woke up and he had just chewed him and bent the frame. So I had to call off work go get an eye appointment and go get new glasses.
Ooh.
And I'm waiting for that. And I can't be mad at him though.
No.
He's just he's a little puppy. He chews everything. So I mean, you got to be careful with him. But it's just I looked at it, I was like, fine. So I give up.
That's what puppies do. I mean, I've got chewed couch cushions. I got about 6 couch cushions that have just been chewed. My dogs love to chew notepads, and I love notepads. I have a real problem with notepads. Like, I'm a hoarder of notepads. That's something about a nice, clean, crisp, lined pad of paper really attracts me. But so I have way too many of them. And
do you use them?
No. I'm using a legal pad right now that I probably bought about 10 years ago. My wife has actually said I'm not allowed to buy any more notepads.
I'm glad it's not just me because I have so many like blank notebooks and stuff that I never use because I don't want to ruin them, but I have nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I see like if I go to Staples or whatever, and you see like a sketchbook on the shelf, and I'm like, oh, that is a nice leather bound notepad or sketchbook or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that needs to be drawn in, and then I remember I can't draw.
Moleskins.
Yeah, the moleskins. Except here in Canada, they cost like $48 for a pack of 2. It's ridiculous.
That sounds about right.
That's about on par.
Well, are they a 2-pack of the hardcover thicker ones?
I don't. Yeah, they are. Yeah. So, but even like a small 3-pack of the pocket-sized ones, that's still what, $20 or something like that.
Yeah, those things are expensive.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous for paper. Anyways, that was a fun, interesting chat on notepads, and that's exactly what everyone came here for. So if you're not interested in the playoffs, you can turn off the podcast now. If you are interested in the playoffs, we're going to get started on that next. All right, so the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs is on. We have 4 matchups: Boston, Columbus, Islanders, Carolina, San Jose, Colorado, and St. Louis, Dallas. When the first round started, Shawn and I went through the best-looking series and what home game looks best in each series. So why not do that for this matchup? And this round, this may be a little difficult because this is not an attractive round. There are some jerseys, but as far as the appeal of the teams, I do not find them very attractive at all. But let's start on the East Coast with the Boston Bruins and Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll start with you, Shawn, and which of the home games looks best?
I think definitely Columbus does. If you know me, I really like Columbus's home jersey. Subtle enough. The number style that changed with the Adidas roll-in, I think, is exactly what Columbus needed. They're a good-looking team right now. Boston, I think, looks mediocre at best. I'm tired of these jerseys. I want the Cam Neely style, Ray Bourque style jerseys back. Something along those lines. I don't find anything particularly appealing about Boston's jerseys right now, but they aren't bad. And moreover, to the point, it's a style of jersey that doesn't mesh well with Columbus. You know, you got sort of this modern, semi-minimalist style going on with Columbus, and you've got the Boston Bruins looking like the Boston Bruins. And to me, at least, it's 2 fundamental styles that clash in principle and on the ice. But at least, you know, the Bruins road jersey, I think, looks a lot better than their home, and Columbus obviously looks better at home. So you know what? I'm going to give it to Columbus. Looks best. But, you know, hopefully when Columbus wins the series, we'll get a better-looking matchup.
Yeah, overall, Shawn, does either game really look exceptional, or are you just choosing one because you have to?
It's tough because I think that there are jerseys that Boston has worn recently that would look good here. If they kept them around or if they decided to wear their alternates at home, you could make an argument that their previous, like their edge alternate, if they had brought that over, like the 2016 Winter Classic jersey. Yeah, if they brought that over to Edge and Ward in the playoffs, I think that versus the Columbus away would have an interesting look. Not great per se, but better. But no, as is right now, there is no game I'm turning on just to watch the jerseys.
All right, Steve, your thoughts on which home game looks best in this Bruins Blue Jacket series?
You know, I'm probably going to have to go with what Jets is saying. I'm not a big fan of Columbus's jerseys in general. However, I am really tired of Boston's look. It's like Boston tries to pass off a new jersey design as something new, but it always feels the exact same to me. I don't know if you get that, but it's like there's only so many ways you can do a Boston jersey without it feeling like it's the same thing over and over. But I definitely have to say Columbus is home just because it does have that minimalist approach to it. But at the same time, you can really tell. You can really tell the lines along the arms and along the yoke. So, but other than that, really just Boston's does nothing for me. So I'm gonna have to give it to Columbus.
And overall, just both games not in a overly attractive matchup?
No, it's not attractive. It's not because that they're two bad jerseys. It's just that they're two mediocre jerseys that we've seen for years now, and it's nothing that interests you. It's kind of like, okay, let's see something new, but we're stuck with one jersey that's been around for over a decade, both jerseys have been over for a decade. So, I mean, it's kind of like you're bored watching it. So it's kind of like there's nothing that shocks you or nothing that pleases your eye about it.
Bpoe, Boston, Columbus, which home game looks best to you?
I have to agree with many of the points that Steve and Shawn both brought up, but I'm going to pick the games in Boston instead, because this is going to be brought up multiple times on this podcast, as it's been brought up probably about a million, give or take like 5, on past podcasts, that I love color. Boston game has a lot more color in it because Boston's road uniform is largely black. It's largely white, but aside from white, it's largely black. And Columbus's home jersey is mostly navy blue. It does have the red pants, so that's nice. But the navy blue can look like black at times. And aside from those red pants, it's mostly navy blue. The road game, at least for Columbus, has a nice mix of that red, white, and blue. And then Boston, their jerseys have a lot more yellow on it. But I have to completely agree, too, that I thought this was an unpopular opinion, but I think Boston's jerseys are getting a little bit tiring, and I really wish they'd go back to that early 90s style. Keep the logo and just like switch the colors on it to like how they had their colors swapped on the home jersey and their logo. Do that, but keep the current logo with the current the current font on the logo, because I love that. But just switch the striping around.
Overall, the look of the series, if you consider both home games, kind of a thumbs in the middle, thumbs up.
It's not bad. It's not good. It's kind of there. They don't really mix very well. Another point that was brought up by both Shawn and Steve.
Yeah. For this one, for me, I'm gonna have to take the Columbus games as looking the best, and that's because I would very much prefer Columbus's blue jersey to their white jersey. The whole thing that's going on with the socks on the Columbus's white uniform, the big blue stripe, and then the extremely thin red stripe, which usually gets swallowed up by player tape anyways, sock tape. So I'm going to have to choose Columbus's blue jersey as the better looking game. For me, I'm definitely not tired of Boston's uniforms, but it's an interesting to hear your guys' generation feel that, they've run their course, whereas I feel that this is almost a perfect Boston uniform. No need to change here. So really interesting to hear your guys' thoughts there. But for the games in Columbus, it's kind of, for me, like two clean, kind of sophisticated uniforms, but they're not working together. So overall, the series just isn't going to look great. It's just two different ideas that aren't working together. But so if I have to choose one, it's the Columbus home games that are going to look better. Let's move on to maybe the best way to describe this series is gray paint. The Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes. Which one here, Shawn, which home game is going to look best to you? And remember, considering Carolina's wearing their black alternate jerseys.
Let's pretend for a minute they weren't, and the answer is so obvious I shouldn't have to tell you. But that being said, no, for some reason Carolina feels the need to throw those black alternates out on the ice. But you know what? They're winning in them, so it doesn't matter what I think. Because right now they're associated with winning, which sucks. But on the other hand, thinking back to when Carolina first unveiled those white jerseys, unlike their owner, I actually really liked them. They were very underrated at the time. Now, of course, they've kind of grown out of favor since we now have kind of the best of both worlds between a minimalist Hurricanes and the classic Hurricanes. But at the same time, you know, I think that the Carolina alternate it just doesn't match up well with the Islanders white, while the Carolina white matches up very nicely with the Islanders blue. It's two classic jerseys, two very, very simple striping patterns. I think that the one thing that keeps the Carolina jersey from falling into irrelevancy is the fact that they have that very unique number styling that they do, both in terms of font and color. Stands out a lot. It's a lot of they chose well in that regard. So the best games are going to be in Brooklyn.
Yuck.
Which is why they're down 2-0. Hope that car is enjoying the game as much as I am.
Doesn't Phil say that car has a name, like Beepy, the corner car, or something like something stupid?
All right, so Beepy the corner is what we're calling it.
I think it's called the Yes UV or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I like
Beepy the corner car. I like hashtag Beepy the corner car at New York Islanders. Beepy the corner car, your new mascot.
Here's the question.
Yeah, so
is it BEEPIE or BEEPY?
PY to save characters on Twitter.
Good call.
Let's find it. I'm going to find out. The HTC Research Lab.
Overall, Shawn, of the four series, where does this one sit in terms of overall look? The four, considering all
number
four.
Three.
Number 3. All right.
Oh, it's number 3. Number 3 for sure. You can guess what number 4 is. The West is number 2 and number 1 for sure. But it's pretty close, actually. My number 2 and number 3 could flip here and there.
All right, Steve, Islanders, Carolina, which home game looks best?
I'm going to have to go with the Islanders in Brooklyn just because, like Jet said, if Carolina had not worn their black alternates, which, I mean, they've grown on me, but they still pale in comparison to their current home jersey. I mean, we'd be talking about Carolina at home right now, but I mean, the New York Islanders home versus the away of Carolina, it's not a bad matchup. It's easy on the eyes. They're two traditional style jerseys. I mean, yeah, the white jersey of Carolina it's already worn. It's already run its course, and they need something update on it. But with the Islanders using just a classic design like they have been, I think it looks good, and it actually does complement Carolina's white jersey compared to that. So, but the reverse side, it's just like, it's like saying that one person wants Mexican food and the other wants Chinese, and you're trying to get both together and try and find a happy medium, but there's no way to find a happy medium on it.
And Bpoe, Islanders or the games in Raleigh, which one's looking the best?
Well, before I start, let's give a little bit of a curse update here. So I wore my Dallas jersey for probably about 20 seconds to try it on either last night or this morning. I can't remember. And guess who just lost? Do we count that? I don't know. I wore it for a couple seconds.
Wait, did the Stars lose?
Yeah.
The horses are not in the back right now. Also, the car's name is Honky.
Honky?
I kid you not. The car's name is Honky. I prefer Beepy the quarter car versus, but it's Honky. It's Honky the Honda.
Ryan, this is our podcast title for this week. Beepy the corner car.
Definitely, it's Beepy the corner car.
Beepy the corner car. Watch as like the Maple Leafs steal this idea, and it's like, here comes Carlton driving Beepy the corner car.
Oh man. Oh well, considering Beepy the corner car, he's looking good as far as the jerseys go when they get down to that corner, because when it's in Brooklyn and the Islanders are wearing blue and the Hurricanes are wearing white, that's more of a blue versus red classic matchup in anything. When you have blue versus red, clearly two different sides there. So I think that looks best. Carolina's really throwing things off wearing this black alternate jersey. No reason for it. The red one's superior, but it's what they want to do, and you can't really change that. So across
winning that, it's going to be like the Cavs winning the NBA championship in that sleeve jersey.
Oh, and the owner almost seems fickle. Like he bought into the Alliance, whatever, the American Alliance Football League, and then folded it after 6 weeks.
F.
The AF.
I watched the AAF.
AF.
The chat here.
I watched the AF every week. All right? I don't want to hear about the AAF, and I don't want to hear about Tom Dum Dum, whatever his name is.
Well,
Durden, dumbass.
He bought into it.
Wad.
He bought into it to lose some money, and that worked out for him as far as losing money.
He bought into it to fund a gambling app.
So
can you guys that on Twitter? I think it was under the tweet that the Hurricanes tweeted out to announce those that they're wearing the black jerseys in the playoffs. That somebody's take was actually that those things are good and the regular homes are bad.
Well, you're gonna find someone who says that anything's good.
I guess it's a point, but still, it's just like, how do you think that those black monstrosities are good? And especially the more egregious thing, that their current homes are bad.
So
I don't understand how you see them both at the same time either.
Twitter is a cesspool. You could take a picture of your most recent bowel movement, post it on Twitter, and you're gonna find someone like you're gonna have hundreds of comments like, "Ew, gross, why'd you do that?"
Your form's all wrong.
You're gonna find someone who posts, "Hey, good BM, you must feel great." Like Twitter is just a graveyard of
trash.
Yeah, of life. The
graveyard is Facebook.
True enough.
Yeah.
Composed tweet. Have a good day, everybody! Exclamation point, smile face. Hey, fuck you.
Yeah. Yes. Or someone will be like, "This guy's a racist," or something like that. It just Twitter can get out of hand, no problem. And before this gets out of hand, let's move on over to the.
Wait till Beepy's tweets surface from 2009. This just said Beepy the corner car on hiatus for insensitive tweets. Beepy, no.
Do you think Beepy tweeted that he hates the New York Islanders before he got drafted by the Islanders?
That's the kind of thing Beepy would tweet. All right, let's take a look at the Sharks and Avalanche series here. This one's rather interesting and kind of an old school early 2000s, late 90s kind of feel to this series for me. But Shawn, which home games look better, Colorado or San Jose?
You know, the word nostalgia comes to mind with the series because for a while, these teams just met every couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't meet every year, but they met every couple of years. And what's nice about this is that they met in different eras. They met at the beginning of the Edge era, they met in the pre-Edge era, and they met during the Classic Sharks era, which means that we got the full range of these teams' jerseys, and this adds to it so much. So what I think is, now when I say that, what I mean is that they wore Jeff Friesen era Sharks jerseys with the rounded numbers, not the Jeff Odgers, Arturs Urbe. So after that, but before they started wearing the black alternates, we did do home for a while. So this just adds to it, and it's good because if you look back in photos, you get a full spectrum of what these teams have worn in their existence in the past 23 years. With that being said, for sure, I got to give it to the games in San Jose because while Colorado has beautiful home jerseys, San Jose's away jerseys are white and ugly, and they're very plain. I don't care how many people say that they're clean. they're missing color from them, which sucks because San Jose's home jersey does not suffer from that problem at all.
All right, good stuff there. Steve, San Jose, Colorado, which home game looks best?
I really want to say that they're both even, but I think just a little bit of an edge personally for me goes to Colorado at home, just because it's that classic angled striping on that jersey that I just fell in love with as a kid. And then you gotta remember, I grew up watching Joe Sakic, Patrick Waugh on that team. So, but with the Sharks, I have a love-hate relationship with their jerseys overall, just because that I know they're going for like the lightest jersey possible, but it's sacrificing design. It just annoys me. Like, sure, yeah, I like their teal jersey just because I think they do a decent balance for what they're trying to accomplish, but the white jersey is just so bare and it feels so plain, and it just doesn't work for me. So I'm really going to have to give it to Colorado at home.
Bpoe, San Jose, Colorado, which home game is nicer to look at?
I think this series is a case of both teams having a much better home jersey than a road jersey. And I also think that Colorado has a much better road jersey than San Jose does. So I'm going to have to give this game to San Jose. But for another reason is that I'm going to say the C word again. You guys ready? Color. But yeah, I'm definitely going to say San Jose on this one because mainly color.
And I'm taking Colorado, and that's because San Jose's teal has really, really grown on me. I appreciate that color teal. I love it. I love how much it's used. I love that pretty much it's only San Jose using the teal. They do need hem stripes. That's a given. But I've come to really appreciate the use of the single orange stripe. It's different. It's not entirely balanced on each individual group of stripes, but it's still I've come to enjoy it. Colorado, on the other hand, that road white jersey just drives me nuts for its lack of blue, and it's just used on the ridiculous collar, and it does look ridiculous with just that half strip of blue on this mostly maroon striped jersey, whatever you want to call it. But when you take a look at the games in Colorado, that is a fantastic home jersey by the Avalanche, and there's still plenty of teal for me on the Sharks road jersey. So I'm going to take the Colorado Avalanche home game as the nicer looking game in this series. Let's go to our final second round matchup. We have the St. Louis Blues and the Dallas Stars. Shawn, lead us off. Which home game is looking best?
Bar none, this is the best looking series in the playoffs right now, and I'm glad that they met up. In the same way that last year Winnipeg and Nashville had a really good thing going on because the colors were near direct opposites of each other, but they were similar enough that they looked good, and they were both really modern teams. Well, this is the opposite in terms of that, because you have two teams with very simple striping patterns. You got teams that have kind of gone back to being in that, doing what they do best, looking classic. Dallas has really embraced that victory green look with good reason. St. Louis is probably my favorite looking NHL team that isn't Winnipeg right now. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to give it to the games in Dallas because the St. Louis away is probably my second favorite jersey in the NHL behind the Winnipeg home. I love that jersey. I love the color balancing on it. I love the way that if a goalie wears colored pads, it looks amazing. Like it's honestly probably the best away jersey in the NHL.
Okay, Steve, St. Louis or Dallas? Which home game is best?
I'm going to give it to Dallas just because I think that out of the two white jerseys, St. Louis has a much nicer looking white jersey because it's a perfect balance of all the colors that they use between the two blues and the yellow on there, as well as just it being white. And just overall, I really like this matchup because, like Jet said, it's kind of too traditional style. They're one of the much more successful teams when it comes to having all this, like, for instance, having all the type of traditional jerseys, but they both make it work really well. And really, I think this, in my opinion, is the best series matchup for jerseys in general.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with both Shawn and Steve. This is the best looking matchup of the second round series. Bpoe, as far as St. Louis and Dallas goes, what's your favorite home game in that one?
Well, make it 4 because I also believe that this is the best looking series in the playoffs currently. I would probably argue that Nashville, Pittsburgh and the Islanders may have been better, but that one's probably debatable. But we're not talking about that right now. And I'm going to have to also make it 4 on that. I think Dallas's games look much better. And granted, it's hard. This one, you can't really go wrong. They both have a lot of color in it. I love that. And the reason that Dallas puts it over the edge for me, or Dallas takes the win for me, is because Dallas's green is such a unique color. Green in general is a unique color. I mean, we had 3 teams wear it primarily in the NHL this year, and one of them was the Whalers jerseys for 2 games, right? I'm not forgetting anybody, I don't think. Vancouver has it in their color scheme. They don't wear it.
Don't forget Toronto.
And I'm going to be the devil's advocate here, the outsider. I'm going to say the St. Louis games look best to me. I do love a blue jersey. That's probably just because I'm a Leafs fan, and that's what I'm used to. But I prefer a blue jersey over the Dallas Stars green jersey. The lighting in both of these arenas, in St. Louis arenas and Dallas's arena, really affects the look of this series. I find Dallas's arena is extremely bright and almost washes out the white jerseys that come in and play there. Whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum, I find St. Louis's arena is kind of got this really poorly lit arena. Like it was built in the mid 90s, so it's not exactly, it wasn't thought of HD television at the time, but there's other arenas that did also have a kind of a lighting issue. I'm thinking specifically Montreal, Boston, that have seemed to have fixed it, but St. Louis still seems to be in this kind of darker lighting situation. But overall, I do prefer, both looks are good. But
wait, you said Montreal, Boston? Which Boston series do you mean, just to clarify?
No, I'm just talking about the lighting in the arenas. Like Montreal, about 5 years ago, I think, did some upgrades to their lighting in their arena. Yeah. And it doesn't look so dark. And I think Boston either this year or last year updated the lighting in their arena because it looks different. It looks brighter to me. It looks cleaner, more ready for HD television. But in this series, I'm taking the St. Louis Blues as the home games, better looking games. But I agree with you guys. Clean sweep. This series looks the best of all 4 series. Just before we wrap it up, why not throw some predictions out there? We do have the benefit of knowing the result of at least 2 games in each series, but why not throw out our predictions there? So Shawn, second round predictions only. Let's go through each of the 4 series.
Carolina wins. The East is a muddled mess, and I don't know how to feel about it. In the West, though, I predict San Jose will win. A tight series. I think it's going to be very close, and don't be surprised if Colorado squeaks through. And then we come to the series that's the hardest to predict. This is going to go the distance. This is going to go 7 games. I think Dallas will win unless St. Louis just lights up Ben Bishop one game. That's the stipulation there, is that if Ben Bishop loses a game by more than 3, the Blues have the series. If Sagan and Ben and Heiskanen and Zuccarello go off, which they very well could, and Binnington is not invincible, although he is really good. Yeah, so this is very interesting. But the way that I see it right now, once Boston's eliminated, there is no team here that I don't want to win the Cup. And even then, I wouldn't really mind Boston winning the Cup per se. It's just like the Giants have fallen, and what we're left with is like Clown World. is where we're at. We're in clown world. Welcome to the circus, everybody.
Steve, your predictions for the second round?
I actually think Boston's going to beat Columbus out, and it's either going to be a 6 or 7 game series. Just one team is going to push a lot harder than the other, and I think it's going to be a rough series for both teams. Both teams are going to hit hard and just so. But as for the other, I'm going to say Carolina. I just think right now Carolina's hitting on all cylinders, and unless the Islanders match the intensity and limit how many mistakes they make, they're not going to come out of this. So, as for the West, I think it's going to be the Sharks that come out on top above Colorado. So, just because I think the Sharks have it together pretty well, and I think that, even though that Colorado ended up beating out Calgary, I don't know how much longer they can ride on that compared to San Jose. And as for the Dallas Stars and St. Louis Blues, I'm going to say Dallas has this. Just because I'm going to have to agree with what Shawn said about that, is that's really one of the main ways, or the only way to guarantee that St. Louis is going to go through. But I'm thinking I'd like to see either Boston and Carolina play, or I want to see just Carolina go against Columbus, because they're one team that hasn't been there in almost, 15 years to the Stanley Cup. Huh?
Close to that. By the way, Steve, what I actually said was Dallas has the rootinest, tootinest team in the Wild, Wild West. Yeehaw. This podcast has been translated for those of you in Texas.
Nice. But, yeah, I think just those 4 teams through the second round are going to go through, and I think that's going to be, come the third round, if Carolina makes it, they're going to be more watched than the Western Conference. That's my personal thought, though.
Bpoe, you got some quick predictions for the second round series here? I mean, you have a curse in your hands. You're controlling the fate of all these teams. So it's not even predictions with you. You just tell us who's going through.
Yeah, damn, Ryan. You beat me to my own joke. I was going to skip right ahead and say San Jose wins the Stanley Cup because they're the only team left that don't have any apparel for it all.
Perfect.
But I can just choose to not wear some of the apparel and leave it to the gods. But for real predictions here, because I know that I don't matter. I'm going to say, too, that any of these series at this point, honestly, could go either way. Nothing would surprise me anymore.
Yeah.
Half of these are going to be just based on my own bias. But I'm going to say Carolina over the Islanders. That one's probably going to go 7, and they're probably going to score 2 more goals for the rest of the entire series. I was honestly surprised to see that Carolina actually won, because I didn't think it was possible for them to score more than 1 goal in a game. This is going to be an incredibly close and defensive series. Boston and Columbus, I'm going to go with Columbus. This one's mainly bias. A lot of people are picking Boston to win, so that probably means they're going to lose, considering how these playoffs have been going. But in all reality, either of them could win. They're both really good teams. Columbus, I think, kind of still has that. They have the benefit for one of rest, that they had a lot of rest after sweeping Tampa. But for 2, I think they're just kind of like Carolina. They're sort of firing on all cylinders. They're riding that wave of momentum into the second round. But we'll see. I'm going to pick the Sharks for Sharks and Avalanche. I just think they have a really good team. They just have a stacked team, and if Martin Jones is able to play the way that he did in the last 3 games against Vegas, I think they're going to go a long way. If they're going to go to at least the conference final, I would say to the cup final, but you never know. This is going to be a tough one, even no matter who makes it out. If they make it to the conference final. And for St. Louis and Dallas, I'm going to pick St. Louis on this one, just because I think similarly they're a team that's just been doing absolutely incredibly since January. I mean, they were last in the league in what was it, late January, I think it was?
Early January, but yeah.
And they were on the last day of the season fighting for the Central title. Like, if certain games went their way, they would have won the Central. That's absolutely insane. And Jordan Bennington has been great. They've just been firing on all cylinders since January. So I think they're ultimately going to end up overcoming Dallas and heading on to the conference final, maybe even the cup final. I think at this point I have them predicted as my cup winner, but God knows what's going to happen. We know what happened with the first round. Predictions mean nothing at this point.
Yeah, this is bizarro year. This is a crazy year. Reminds me of 1993, and there was upsets all over the place in that year, and it was completely unpredictable. So this year, very much like that year. As far as my predictions, I'm taking Columbus over Boston, and that's just me being bitter. I didn't think I would care, but watching Game 2 of the Columbus-Boston series, I found myself just wanting Boston to lose. They could have been playing a team of pigs dressed up in any kind of jersey. I wanted Boston to lose because they beat out the Leafs. It's a bitter, irrational thought, so I'm taking Columbus. As far as the Islanders-Carolina series, at the time of this recording, the Islanders are in too much of a hole to recover here, so Carolina's going to take that series. I'm taking San Jose over Colorado. This might be the best series of the second round, but at this point, San Jose is my Stanley Cup pick. And St. Louis Dallas is a pick 'em. Literally, either team could win. It could come down to Game 7 in overtime, and someone just makes, a misstep in one direction, and that's the game. So it really could be anybody. So I'll just take St. Louis in that one because they are the higher seed. So those are our predictions for the second round. That's what we think of the jersey matchups in the second round.
Before we actually finish the podcast, I'm going to give myself a personal shout out because it also is relevant. For those of you who follow me on Twitter or Instagram, both of them are at BPC Design. I made a meme about the first round of the playoffs, specifically with the wildcard teams. For those of you maybe familiar with it, for those of you who may know the one that's like just two people, and one of them's like, I made this, and they're holding out something. And the other guy goes, you made this? Takes it, and then he goes, I made this. So I had to go from Tampa to Calgary to Nashville to Washington. I had to go, I lost to a wildcard team? You lost to a wildcard team. I lost to a wildcard team. I just had to go back and forth. Probably better if you see it. So go ahead and head on over to my account and take a look. But it's just been a crazy year, and I thought it was a funny meme.
Shawn, I know you're selling jerseys. You want to give a quick plug anywhere people can find those listings?
Sure, yeah. So I'm selling off a bit of my collection. Don't worry, I'm not stopping collecting jerseys. I just need to downsize a little bit, get rid of some that I've had for a while that I don't wear, trying to make room, quality over quantity. I got a few things for sale up on Kijiji, which for those of you who don't know is kind of like Craigslist, but not nearly as sketchy. Obviously, it's going to be in the Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada area, which is where I am from, but we'll surely have a link to that. And, if these suit your fancy, we can always sort something out, without going through eBay and them taking a cut. So currently selling right now a Edmonton Oilers alternate, a Anaheim or Mighty Ducks of Anaheim white alternate from the late 90s. That's a Nike jersey, a Chris Osgood Edge Detroit home, Minnesota green alternate, that's the script alternate, and a Panarin Edge, Adidas Adidas authentic. There we go, home jersey, and I also have a 2015 Kings Jonathan Quick jersey. So if any of those interest you, always feel free to shoot me a message on there. We can sort something out through PayPal or whatever. And it'd be cool to sell to somebody who listens to the podcast.
Yeah,
Shawn, just so the listeners know, what size range would that be?
They range from large to XL. I mean, I'm not a small guy. I'm like 6'2", 230, so expect that these are not going to be medium. The smallest one is definitely the Edge large Oilers alternate, and they go up from there. There's 3 XLs in there, 4 XLs. So the only 2 larges are the Minnesota jersey and the Edmonton jersey. The rest are XL.
And I thought you meant a size 4XL for a second. And I was like, huh?
I do not own a jumbo or bar-sized jersey, although I did have a chance to purchase an Atlanta Thrashers bar-sized jersey, but that did not go through because it was quite stained.
Oh.
I will also say real quick, more than likely, I will also be having a Nashville pre-Adidas road jersey up for sale pretty soon, size 2X. So if anybody's interested in that, just hit me up on Twitter or Instagram again at BPC Design. I just ordered a new one today that was an Indo Edge, so it's going to be a bit of an upgrade over the Premier that I have now. I'm looking to get rid of that now. Going to wait for that one to come in just to make sure it fits me, but I more than likely will. So either way, one of those two are going to be up for sale. So
all right, good stuff there. If anybody missed those links or is interested in purchasing those jerseys, simplified way to get in contact is emailing the podcast at hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, and we'll get you in touch with either Bpoe or Shawn if you're interested in buying those jerseys from them.
I have something.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I know that's annoying you, but news is that I am taking down the Jersey Casual.
All right, so Jersey Casual had a good run. I know I got 6 stickers up on my desk that people ask me about in a t-shirt. So Jersey Casual stuff had a good. Is there a date that it's coming down, or
this Friday it'll be coming down? So what I'm doing kindly is I'm going to mark everything down, even though it's technically they print as you buy. I'm just going to mark it all down for you guys for this final week. So come Friday, all of it's going off. So, but yeah, so you could get a sticker probably as cheap as $4.
There you go.
So
Friday, May 1st, 2019, Jersey Casual stuff available. So going on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com right now, we have the Carolina Hurricanes redesign. Entries for those are due May 3rd, 2019. And also be heads up for the HJC playoff pool. As the second round goes on and teams are eliminated, the standings will be updated. But keep a heads up just before round 3 starts. We'll ask for your picks again. If you haven't gotten into the HJC playoff pool, don't worry, we go round by round, so you can still hop in for the third round and the final and see how well you do on our picks. That is all we have for you this week. To stay up to date with the Jersey Nerds podcast, be sure to subscribe to the HJC Podcast Network. You'll get notifications whenever new shows are published. I'd like to thank Steve, Bpoe, and Shawn for joining me this week, and thank you to all the Jersey Nerds for listening.